Okay, there we go. All right. So
We're
Yay.
live.
we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to She's of Love, where today we have Lanna Joe on the show once again, which is always such an exciting episode.
Mm,
We receive so much from you, Lana, every single time you come on, every single time I talk to you, just one on one as well. I don't know, it's just this is probably one of my favorite ever episodes talking with you because we're just so alike and we're so you were saying just before we started that we're like already kind of on the same wavelength
yeah.
with everything and yeah, I just really feel that when I talk with you. So yeah, today's
Oh, thank
topic,
you.
yeah, welcome
It's
by
an
the way.
honor to
Yeah.
be here. Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful and honored that you came on. But today we are talking about divine feminine in relationships. And I thought that it would be a very interesting topic to talk about because Mum and I have noticed that this year in 2023 has been a huge year of people breaking up, the
Mm,
masculine being a little bit more toxic. Um, maybe not toxic. I mean, yes, toxic, but I guess unbalanced. It's just been a really big year of that we have seen. And so instead of bringing it about the masculine, I think talking about the feminine is really important at the moment because the feminine is usually the one that gets hurt a lot. We're talking, like in past patterns of history and everything like that. So yeah, I guess my question to you is like, however you take the topic of divine feminine in relationships, start from there and we can just kind of valley back and forth and like what, yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
such a fascinating topic and so relevant to me on my journey right now, and a lot of people that I'm connected to. And it's so weird because I was literally on TikTok yesterday, like looking at this healer, and she was speaking about how quite literally the source of life itself is the divine masculine and the divine feminine unifying and creating, but they have
yeah.
their certain roles. And if you're not balancing your roles, toxic things happen, toxic situations, experiences. And as I was watching it, I giggled because then you sent me the link. It was like, this is what we're talking about. And then I giggled even higher than that because I was like, right now, in the past like 3, 4 months, I've been really tapping into healing my feminine aspect and balancing the masculine and feminine because sometimes you don't actually realize that you might be one more than the other. And believe it or not, in my pink room, in my pink pajamas, I actually was had a lot more masculine aspects I needed to balance with my feminine. And that started with me with a lot of womb healing. I don't know if you've been seen any of like the yoni healing, womb healing, birth healing. That was kind of like my start of trying to balance my femininity again and bring it back
yeah,
in
wow,
my relationship with myself and
yeah,
others, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Starting healing your relationship with yourself. That is where the healing begins.
mm,
Because I think we're born into a society where the masculine and feminine is unbalanced. We all the messages we're receiving are about the unbalanced
yeah,
versions of the masculine and feminine,
Yeah.
and they're skewed. They're not in my opinion, this is my opinion, they're not real.
mm,
They're
Mhm.
distorted. And
Yeah.
so um we I know for myself, being raised in the 70s and the 80s, um, we were I went to a progressive school. It was a convent school, but the nuns were very progressive, and we were taught that girls could do anything, and we could choose, you know, like because previously back in the 50s and 60s, there wasn't a lot of choice for women in society. You grew up, you were a nice girl and you got married and had children and you stayed home and looked after the family. And then the 60s happened with, you know, global love, and then the 70s was all about flower power and, you know, women's rights and all of that. And then the 80s was about female power and about, you know, shoulder pads. It was like the power suit, and girls were um, thought that they had power and that they could be anything that they wanted. And I think it kind of like possibly went a little bit too far, where the
Mhm.
family unit was discarded. And if a girl wanted to be a stay-at-home mum and wanted to have a family, it was frowned upon. So it was like the pendulum went from one extreme to the other. And I really feel like now it's coming back into the middle, where people are starting to realize that the sacred feminine is about creation, but she can't create by herself.
Mhm.
There needs to be a balance with the masculine. And so healing that within yourself, and for the masculine as well, healing that feminine side in themselves and not being ashamed that they have a feminine side, is so important for the two to come together, for the masculine and the feminine to come together and create from there. Because if he's ashamed of his feminine side, how is he going to relate to the feminine? And if
Mhm.
she's thinking that she has to be all masculine and take over, and, you know, and the feminine
Mm,
side is, you know, ignored because it's not powerful enough or whatever, how is she going to relate to the masculine? So
Mhm.
I think it's yeah, really important to have that balance within the self first before you attract a partner.
yeah. I think with what you were saying, Lana, like how um you're yeah, you're balancing your aspects of masculine and feminine internally. I think that is such a powerful way to heal yourself, not just about your masculine and feminine. I think it bleeds out into many
Yeah.
other
Mhm.
um you know traumas, and like it can heal a lot mentally. And yeah, I one thing that I wanted to say was, when I think about, divine feminine in relationships, I also, yes, I think about love, like non-platonic non-platonic
Platonic.
platonic thank you
Platonic.
platonic relationships. But then I also think of my soul sisters and divine
Mhm.
feminine in relationships in terms of women relationships.
Yes, that's a
Um,
huge
Yeah.
aspect too.
and yeah, I was thinking about
Mhm.
this the other day, and the amount of love in which I receive from these kinds of relationships where I'm surrounded by women. And, this year I haven't actually been surrounded by many spiritual people in my friend group, and I thought
Mhm.
that it would be really, really difficult. And don't get me wrong, there are definitely hard aspects to that. But one thing that I never that never felt like it was missing was those divine feminine relationships with people, even if they weren't necessarily spiritual, but because they were such beautiful people and kind and
Yeah.
loving, and they're like just such lovely women, I never felt like I was missing out on that divine feminine, even if we weren't necessarily talking about divine
No,
feminine.
Yeah.
it was the
Uh,
feminine in action. It was the
Yeah,
feminine in action that you
yeah,
were experiencing,
yeah,
regardless of what their beliefs were,
yeah.
which is
yeah.
such an important point, really, isn't it? That it doesn't, like, yes, we want to be around people who are like us and who have similar beliefs, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's not necessary, because that divine feminine aspect
Yeah.
is still there.
Mm, yeah.
I think as
Yeah.
well, if you're just being authentic, that
Mm.
shines through better than anything. And if you're being authentic, but you don't have maybe the same specific views or beliefs, you can still vibe with someone and feel that love.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I really learnt that this year. I think when I first came into spirituality, I liked to close myself off to people who weren't spiritual. It wasn't a matter of I'm better than you or anything like that, but it was just I just didn't think that we could get along because spirituality was such a like it was literally everything about my life at the time,
Mm.
especially during lockdown. And like it was just in every aspect. And then slowly but surely I'm walking back out into the world after COVID, and I realized life would really suck if I would never make friends with someone unless they were
Yeah, you would have
spiritual.
been limiting
And
yourself.
also I have a lot of
Uh-huh.
spiritual friends, and even then, like, they can they can still be sometimes challenging relationships, even if they are spiritual. And
Yeah, and sometimes
yeah,
even more challenging
Yeah.
yeah,
if you're like on that path with them,
yeah, oh yeah, 1,000,000%. So yeah, I think when we talk about this topic, I one of the first things that comes to my mind is, yeah, about those divine feminine friendships with other women, and how healing it can be. I think as women, it's like, one thing I've learned is those relationships with my girlfriends are more important than any other relationship I could have with a romantic partner, in a sense, because these friendships are really what I don't know. I don't know how to express it, but like they're just so important. They literally get me through anything. It's like having a boyfriend, but it's like a friend who, is just there to help me, there to listen to my problems, and then also for me to listen to their problems and to have fun. It's like literally everything I could ever want in, I guess, a romantic relationship without the romance. Or
Mm.
sometimes even with
Yeah,
the romance, but it's platonic romance, if you
it's
know what I mean.
funny.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's just
funny.
your
It's
soul family, the soul
yeah.
sisters. That's so beautiful to hear. Feels like you're
Yeah.
really like tapping into connecting to other divine feminine aspects in other people, whether it's spiritual or not. And that's really
Mm,
nice to hear. I feel like I've learned that this year too,
yeah.
especially by some of my closest friends. I feel like lockdown for me was very similar. I went through the whole lockdown, like no matter what I was doing, it was some sort of spiritual enhancement or spiritual thing that I was dabbling in to try grow and heal my traumas. And then when I got to the end of that, I kind of like closed all doors down with people that weren't on that journey. And now that was like 3, 4 years ago now. But this year I feel like I've really like learned that everyone's teaching everyone, no matter what level you might be on your journey, no matter where you might be on your journey, you can learn so much from the most like unlikely person.
Yeah.
And like I learn that every single day. So like it's almost like as well on a spiritual journey, if you're gonna close off those kind of experiences, those people, then you're gonna almost close yourself down, which is the opposite of becoming spiritual. You're here to be open, you know,
Yeah.
let things flow and accept, not, judge and close doors and try to
Yeah.
control things. But that's again the opposite as well.
Mm,
Yeah, I think what was important though, particularly in 2020 when we were in lockdown and we were like, as our family, the way we experienced it was through spirituality. It
Mhm.
was a huge awakening time for us. And I think when that's happening, it's like a caterpillar that goes into a cocoon.
mm,
You're protecting yourself because you're
Mhm.
changing and you don't know necessarily what changes are going to occur and how it's going to happen because it's all new. And so you
Yeah.
do put this protective cocoon around yourself because you're exploring and you're growing and expanding, and you're like, I've got to keep that protected a little bit. And so you're wary of people and you're like, I just need to have spiritual people in my life or whatever. And
Mhm.
then once you find your wings and they're dry and they've expanded and you want to
Yeah.
use them and fly away, life becomes less scary because you have more control over, the way you're moving and the way you're experiencing life. And so I think that's what's happened with you, Juliet. Like, you've experienced people outside of that spiritual circle,
mm,
um, that has broadened you
yeah.
and that feminine side that we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation has been able to grow, and it's been like you've explored
Yeah.
it more. And so that's probably why you've experienced richer relationships with women,
Yeah.
because that feminine side of yourself is what you're experiencing right now.
Mm,
And
Yeah.
I think that's so beautiful.
yeah.
It's
Wow,
so
it's kind of just made me have such a big reflection as well. Like, it's funny when sometimes when you guys say something, I can have like an instant download of 100 things in 1 second. And like, I just kind of learned a whole pattern with myself, because even to this current moment, I don't have that many female close friends. I've got a couple of like solid, beautiful women like that I could literally like in my life now. And I've got my soul family of women, but they're all older. So I feel like, again, amazing, divine women. Have got my every like need and back, and I've got theirs. However, I feel like having close friends my age, female, groups of soul sisters my age as well would be really beautiful. But I've kind of just in this moment had like a reflection, because I have been unbalanced and more so on my masculine aspect. That probably makes sense to why I've always had male friends my
yes.
entire life. And to this day, I hang out with pretty much all male friends when I hang out with friends. So, like, yeah, thank you for that, Julia.
Yeah, it's interesting. This year actually is the first time that I've um had more than one guy friend. Well, actually, to be honest, growing up in school, like guys just seemed so dumb to me.
Yes.
I was like, I wouldn't even go near them with like a 10-foot pole. I was like, no, I'm good. Just because I observed their behavior, and we all know teenage boys, and I was just like, why would that I want to be friends with that? And then at my job this year, I've been like a full-time bartender at two different bars, and one of the bars is like a very male-dominated space. I don't like using the word dominated actually. A very there's a lot of guys there, especially when I started. There was more
Yeah,
guys than women. And so I still made friends with them. And then like I was talking with them, I was trying my best to get along, but then I realized I actually didn't even have to try that hard to be friends with them, because I liked them and they liked me, and we were just having a good time at work.
yeah,
And so I started getting along really, really well with them. And then all of a sudden I have like three different guy friends all at once, like in a span of like 2 months. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. This is really different. I'm learning a lot about the male psyche. This is very like it's a little bit daunting at times, seeing what they're talking about and what um what their behavior is, but then also at the same time, this is really cool. I love having guy friends, and it's definitely now something that I would want more of looking ahead in life. But yeah, I this year was like the first time where I ever had proper guy friends. And I actually really loved it. I really wish had guy friends earlier on growing up. I think it would have helped me understand humanity as a whole. Because
oh.
yeah, I don't know, but not just that, but they're really fun, and I learned a lot from them. And I don't know, just they're more I think with a lot of in my experience, a lot of my female friendships, they're a lot more deeper and meaningful, which is so important. But sometimes for a bit more lightheartedness and maybe some surface level fun, or some surface level um I don't even like to say surface level, because I don't mean shallow, but just some things that are more um easier to kind of be around and be in, because
Yeah,
because I don't want to be
I
like
know
down
exactly
and
what you mean. I feel
So
it.
yeah,
I
what you're
feel
saying
exactly.
is that the feminine energy is like a deeper connection, and
yeah,
the male energy that you're around is about experiencing life in a more kind of
lighthearted.
light-hearted way.
Yeah,
I
I
fully
Yeah.
agree
want
as
to preface,
well.
I know both can be like, I'm just speaking from my own experience, and I know
Yeah.
that
Yeah, of
like
course.
yeah, this has been for me. And yeah, I don't know, I think there's such importance in both sides. Like I
Yeah,
think,
there is.
yeah, and I know that also my female friendships can be like that too. And I've had conversations with some guy friends where we've been crying together. Like,
Yeah.
you
You
know,
definitely
having such,
find the balance
yeah,
in both.
yeah. So I don't know. I learned a lot about the fact that, you know, this being the first time that I had proper guy friends, that I actually find this really fun and this is a really cool experience. And I will definitely open myself up to more male friendships because before I just closed myself off completely. Like
Hmm.
it's not that I didn't believe that they would be good or whatever. I think it was just more, oh, don't really want to be friends with a guy.
Maybe you were
Yeah.
your experience. You weren't ready to open yourself
Well,
up for that.
I think it was more just
It's so
during
weird because I
childhood
feel the exact
and
same, but with women. Like
yeah,
everything
yeah,
you're saying, I've experienced the exact same, but with females.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very like it's very interesting. And another thing that I was reflecting on it as well is like I've always been um like growing up as a kid, I was definitely more in my masculine than in my feminine. So it's odd that I was so turned off from male friendships and just boys in general
Yeah.
because I was definitely more in my masculine growing up. I think now I found a bit more of a balance.
That's interesting because I never noticed you in your that way. I never looked at you that way.
I think
I
I was.
always have seen you as more feminine than me.
Yeah, but you're
I'm really
pretty
masculine.
that's not
Oh,
It's hard to beat.
I
yeah,
love that. Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
That's funny. uh,
Yeah. So I don't know, but
yeah.
tell me, Lana, with like what has been your experience so far in being friends with women? Like what was your journey to kind of opening up to that and like I don't know, maybe is there a reason why you were closed off to more female friendships, or was it just a thing of like I'm in my masculine, I want to be more with guys, friends?
So I feel like I just learned the answer by you speaking. So I feel like when it came to being friends with women, I had quite bad experiences with girlfriends growing up when I was really young. So then I kind of just like I think I just closed myself down connecting with women because of that aspect. And when you said a moment ago how you feel like with your female friends it was like deeper and it was like you know deeper on the sense of like the connection, and then with your male friends it's more like boisterous, adventurous, and having fun and whatnot. I feel like maybe the reason I closed myself down from being friends with females is because I was scared to get deep with females because in the past when I had they'd used it against me so much.
Yes.
So then with boys
Which
I never have to speak about
happens.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boys, I just can suppress it all by playing games and doing whatever we're doing.
Yes. Yeah, that what you're describing, that experience, I think is very common.
Mm,
Because when you get close to a woman and you've shared your deepest, darkest feelings with them, and they, you have an argument or things go bad and they throw it back in your face. Like that's definitely
Mhm.
happened to me. That
Yeah,
can really hurt.
mm,
That can be very, very painful.
yeah.
And make you shy away from those relationships
Yeah.
in the future.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a million
I
percent.
definitely agree.
And I you know what? I've had exactly the
Yeah,
same
me too.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, I feel like a lot of women have. It can be, girls can be really mean,
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
horrible.
Boys can too, though.
Yes.
Boys can
Oh
too.
yeah, I agree. I feel like
Yep.
it's more known for like boys to kind of just like fight it out physically, whereas like women
Yeah.
will go there. Women
Yeah.
will go there.
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
the most horrific things thrown in my face, and I've just learned so much, even more just in this past 5 seconds, because I just had a memory come into my awareness of when I was probably about 17, and that was probably the hardest time I had with females because I lived in a shared house of teenagers. We were all homeless. We all had our own problems, and the females in that house specifically, I love them all dearly now and wish them all the best. They put me through some torture,
Yeah.
and so I feel like that's probably the reason why it's only been this year in the past few months where I've really opened myself up to creating opportunities and experiences to connect with more women. I've done a few like women's circles in my house actually in the past like few months with women that I've really wanted to like delve more into spirituality and seen that I've been quite spiritual. So like I am creating these experiences and opportunities slowly but surely, but it's just so crazy how I've just learned all the reasonings why in this like whole second.
No,
I love
Almost
that.
like
yeah.
I
almost
love
got
that.
brain ache. I feel like my brain's just downloaded so much now it hurts a little bit.
Well, that's why we do these
Yeah.
connections, is for those types of like brain bursts of information and realizations and
Yeah,
healing.
they
Yeah.
totally happen every time I speak to you guys. And I actually lit some
Good.
candles. I lit one each for one of us just before we came on. I was like,
Awesome.
whatever happens in this beautiful episode, I know it's going to be elevating and healing and learning and nurturing. And I lit one for each of us. And I feel like I'm glad I did that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
awesome.
glad you
All the
did that.
intention.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's so sick. Little candle me is in the background.
Yeah, you're right here.
You're smart.
Smelling delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I wanted to kind of touch on yeah, back on how, you know, I was talking about how female relationships can be the most rewarding, but then also the like female relationship or friendships can also be the most destructive in
Mm,
my experience as well because almost up until my friendship this year with guys, I have had friendships with guys, and every single time it ended in a mini destruction, if you will, but I got over it very quick because I think also my masculine energy is out when I'm with guys, obviously, and I think that that energy kind of, I don't know, guys just get over stuff a lot quicker than women do,
mm.
in my experience. And so like, and also with guy friendships, I'm never friends with them long enough to care if it ends. I mean, I do care a little bit, but I'm not like
You're not
really
It's not
invested.
so
disappointed
You're
or
not
much.
invested.
yeah.
Yeah.
But with my female friendships, like there's been times growing up where like exactly what you're saying, like it's just been the most, they've gone there and it was really terrible. And like I remember there was this one girl in high school who literally, I don't know what her problem was, but just one day all of a sudden she decided she didn't want to be friends with me, and she just didn't, we were best friends, and then the next
Yeah,
day she just
she
stopped
flipped.
So
talking.
sad, isn't it? It
And then
is
she
so
went,
sad.
yeah, and then she like,
And she never explained why.
no, she never explained why, but
That's
the
the
thing,
worst as well.
yeah, it that wasn't even what fully I mean actually yeah, that's what hurt the most, but what made it the most weirdest and wildest experience was that all of a sudden she was telling all these like, I mean, just complete lies about me to basically the whole school. So then
It just
anytime that I
makes
wanted,
sense. It's so
yeah,
sad.
yeah, it's like, and I feel like this is very I guess unbalanced female behavior in a sense when it
I feel
comes
like
to
it's
high
quite common
school.
as well, like how often that happens, especially in school settings. Um, and I think probably as well, not only just like the pressure of being in secondary school and society and being a woman in society and have to look a certain way, be a certain way. I think as well, you never know what she was going through at home also.
Yeah, that was my
You
next
notice when you
thought.
get
Yeah.
older, you notice that when you get older, actually like a lot of the people that put you through hell probably going through hell as well. And that's just them
Yeah.
taking it out on you.
Yeah, that was my next thought process was, that we weren't privy to what was going on her side of things.
Yeah.
And that I thought at the time that she was spreading lies about you because she was afraid of getting the backlash, so that she
Mm.
was like, I need to destroy, because this is how it felt from our side. was like
Yeah.
she needed to destroy your reputation so nobody would believe you when you told them what she'd done.
Mm.
You know, it was like that was her way of surviving in that,
Yeah.
you know. And
Environment.
you
Yeah.
were and Juliet was such a strong, you know, she was such a strong character in the she was actually quite pure at school. Like she was, you know, doing charity work, and she had a lot of attention from the school for doing the work that she was doing. So she had a very strong reputation for being a good person. And I think
Yeah.
that was intimidating to her. And she was like, well, if I'm hurting her, everybody's going to be on her side. So I need to say that she was the
That's
bad
like the
person.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And that is
So
probably that the wounded side of the feminine, you know,
yeah.
Yeah.
not being able to shine her own light and not be able to be
Yes.
herself truly. It triggers, you know, if we've experienced, you know, your healing journey, you've experienced being the shadow aspect to yourself and the light aspect to yourself. You'll know when someone else is living their true dreams and you're not on the light side of it yet, you're triggered by that. You're
Yeah.
angry and you almost despise the fact someone's doing what you truly deep down underneath all the layers want to do. Um,
Yes.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
bet that's exactly what was going on.
yeah, that's so true, Lana. So true. What you've just said there is like so insightful and so true, because I think what it was that she felt like she could never, like, she put you on such a pedestal that she felt she could never reach it, because she
Yeah.
didn't have the self-worth in herself to want,
Mhm.
like, to be able to do that, or because she could have done that. Anybody can do that. Of course, we're all capable of that. But
Yeah.
she didn't believe that
Anyway.
about herself.
Mm.
She didn't believe
Yeah.
that it was possible for herself. So she needed to remove the pedestal and bring Juliet down to make
Mhm.
herself feel better. And that's, you know, and I think that that can be quite a feminine thing. You know, that's a way that the feminine
Yeah. Well, I
copes.
mean, in a world like today with our history, I
Mm,
think there is so many um historic patterns and like ancestral patterns that we have as women to
bring other women down.
yeah, because it was the only
It's
way
so
to
sad.
bring
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's been a way of survival up until now, and it's only now that we can start to unlearn it, because this is like the first time in history since I guess um whenever the whenever the huge Western, like, Roman society started, like, taking over everything, this is, like, the first time since thousands and thousands of years where we can actually take a breath as women, and that being said, of course, there's a lot of shit to be fixed, but compared to how it was even just 50 years ago, it's improved so much, and then
Even
you look
just
past
like
50.
5 years ago as well. Like
Yeah,
Yes.
I was when I was 15, I got paid less than someone who had the exact same job as me, age as me, because he was a man and I was a woman.
yeah,
Oh, I was
Yes.
a teenage girl,
Yep.
you
yeah,
know? Like that was
exactly.
6 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's getting better
It's
every day. And I feel like we finally have the opportunity and freedom as women to actually be able to unite in a safe environment
yeah,
where we've
yeah,
not really had the opportunity to do so. I feel like, especially in like, you know, the 90s, 2000s era, it was such like a movie thing for like women to be bitchy to women. That was just like the theme in every high school movie, every childhood TV
yeah,
program. Still
yeah,
is like to this day, but not as much. I've because obviously with me being a mum, I'm like analyzing any TV or movies before Luna watches it. And like you don't really see it as much in new stuff. It's more
yeah,
older stuff that you notice there's that dynamic of I'm better than you, I've got more money than you, or I'm more flashy than you, you know, whatever it may be. And I feel like me and you, Julia, experienced that in school probably a lot with like
mm,
Brats and Mean Girls and Barbie
Yes.
and
yeah,
Yes.
you
yeah,
know, so
a
I feel like it
million
was just
percent.
drilled into our programming for that like dynamic of Mean Girls to be in school. And
Yeah,
that's why women grow up like that because then they take
yeah,
that into the workplace, college, uni, into relationships, family settings, you know. And I feel
Yeah,
like that's probably a huge part of it too, as well as obviously ancestral wounding and
yes,
ancestral pain with the societal impression and programming. It's just all enforcing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah. So that I think women have felt that they've needed to battle. I mean, and this is they don't need to battle, but they felt that they've needed to battle the masculine in the workplace, say,
Mhm.
and also the feminine in the workplace because they're not getting supported through the feminine either because they're looked at as competition.
And
Mhm.
because we're usually a minority, well,
Mm,
in the past, it has been like that. It has been competition between women to fight for the best place in the
yes,
minority in a
yes,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, and I,
Like in a company, say,
mm,
they're in competition with the men because the men are getting higher
but
pay
the
and
men are like thousands of years more, like have got more, I guess, benefit,
favoritism.
yeah, favoritism and humanity benefits is what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
That it's
Yeah,
like, so I
definitely.
mean, we do battle them, and we do, I guess, fight for, I mean, we fight,
that's the mindset.
yeah.
Saying that's the mindset. But I think what's happening now is the feminine is starting to wake up and own her own power and
Mhm.
band together
Mhm.
with other females because there's strength in numbers. And
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
being in competition with each other and fighting against each other, and I'm not saying that this is everywhere, I'm saying it's starting to happen in my experience, that it's beginning to happen now where women are coming more together because they're standing more in their power and they're
Yeah.
not seeing it as a competition so much anymore. It's more that, well, if I'm going to if I take responsibility for my part to play and I'm, um, take that seriously and I'm doing the things that I need to do, that's enough. I'm enough
Mm,
in this role. I'm enough in this company. I'm enough. And so then it's, not I don't have to be masculine. I don't have to be in competition. I don't have to be
Mhm.
because my uniqueness, the feminine that I have and the uniqueness of the feminine is enough to bring to the table.
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and
I feel that though really deeply.
yeah, I,
And it's more
Loads of women
recognized
together.
now.
Yeah, I feel like just in the past couple of weeks, actually, I've seen. Well, maybe it's already been happening, but I've consciously become aware of how many women have come together recently to shower me in love through like the
Mm,
stuff I'm doing and the support I'm getting online, and also seeing just in Cornwall where I live like so many women like starting like healing circles, witch circles, Wicca
yes.
circles, and it's happening left, right, and center. And even like some people that I like, it's so funny. I feel like everyone's on a level based on what you think they are, if that makes sense. Like if you don't talk to people about spiritual stuff, you're never gonna find spiritual people. And like I just like recently spoke to someone quite close to me in the charity I work for about lots of the spiritual stuff, and she's like, I go to a spiritual circle every week. And I was like, whoa. And she's like going on about all this cool stuff. And I'm like, wait, that's so crazy. Like, if you just speak to people, you'll find that actually people are resonating, even if they don't say it in a spiritual way.
Yes.
Even my close friends have been experiencing so many shifts and changes, but they're not spiritual whatsoever, but they're still experiencing the changes and the shifts. They
Yeah.
just talk about it in a very different way. And I feel
Yes.
like that's the same with everyone, even on a spiritual journey. Some people perceive it maybe as quantum science. Some people might perceive it as, like Buddhism, or like it could be completely different language, but it's literally the same thing.
Yeah, the
yeah,
energy is there. The
yeah.
energy of the change is there. We're just describing
Mhm.
it differently because we have different,
Yeah, and
yeah,
it's
we have different
affecting
experiences.
everyone. I feel
Yeah.
like that's why lots of people have been picking up on like a large scale as well throughout this year, and a lot of people are going on single individual journeys, because I feel like right now that's essential if you haven't already. But then on the flip side of it, I'm seeing a lot of divine unions as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
Simultaneously the people that have done the work are now unionizing, and the people that haven't are now unionizing with themselves, so they're able to then in the future come together with the divine masculine to create, to do everything they came here to do. And
Mm,
I feel like it's literally like so magical watching it all unfold.
Yeah. No, I really, I don't know, I really agree with you on that. Like
mm.
the amount of conversations I have with people who may not necessarily be spiritual, but they still know that what's going on isn't okay,
They
or that
feel it.
they still, yeah, they still feel the shifts that are happening. They still feel the discomfort.
Yeah,
Um,
I was going to say the discomfort definitely for those that don't know how to navigate through it. I'm seeing
mm,
um a lot of people almost struggling way more with their mental health because they've not found the tools yet that's serving them to be able to like
yeah,
work through it. And I feel like that's going to be a big thing you like in everyone's journey right now. If you don't choose to heal, it's going to be really hard.
yeah, yeah. I really agree with that. And I think, you know, moving forward in this world, I see every year I mean, we in the spiritual side of life kind of talk about the big split that is going to happen with the new world and the old, what is it? The new world
The
and
two world
the
split.
two world split. And I
Yeah,
see that.
like the new one, like the spiritualist and the 3D almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I see the split happening more and more every year. And I also see the people around me and my friends and people who aren't so tapped into that, they're kind of waving with the worlds, I guess. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so
I think people choose with their choices, whether
mm,
it's conscious or
but that's why you have
unconscious.
to do the work that
I
Lana was
fully
saying,
agree.
because you want to be aligned and making the choices that work for you. And
But I think you can still be like I think it's possible to be a person that chooses alignment because of the way it feels, because you're
100%.
connected to your body,
Yeah.
without being totally spiritual. I think
mm,
you
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
100%. I think you can be fully tapped in and aligned to the most divine, live every single one of your dreams, but not be someone that, you know, is spiritual to
Or
this
has a
level.
spiritual language. Yes.
Yeah, I think just like basic things like I know people that aren't spiritual because they heavily practice yoga and have found deep meditative states and healing
Yes.
through
Things
that.
like
They are
that.
so spiritual, you know. And I've noticed as well, like this split as well from year to year. And what I've really noticed specifically this year, because this time last year I was bedridden for months on end, completely ill with something I've suffered with my whole life. And I noticed this year, even though that my skin's getting bad again, because I suffer with an autoimmune disease where eczema will attack my whole body, and it's been horrific my whole life. And what I've noticed about this year, and also then looking at previous years, that the healing and the love and the work I've done is still integrating. Because even though now this year I've got the problem still, I whereas like so last year I was like in the problem, this year I'm like above the problem. And
Yeah,
then years
right.
before I didn't even like, and then prior to that I was in it so much that I couldn't like. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
yeah.
like so what I've
totally.
noticed, yeah, so like what I've noticed last year when I was like severely in it, couldn't move, I was so in my shadow self, dense self, that that higher aspect of me was there, but she hadn't fully gotten in. That's why I was still suffering. And whereas this year, the voice of my higher self is fully integrated in. So the problems are here, but I'm experiencing them with love, and I almost have the tools to instantly work through them. And that's
Yes.
been like a revolutionary thing throughout the years of my life, even though it's not gone. It's like I'm integrating all that love and light still, and I can feel it because of how much of a difference we've made in a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lana, I really resonate with what you're saying, because that's been a journey for me also, where my thing is, you've got the eczema, my thing is fear. When I experience fear, I get I I leave my body. It's been a thing
Mm-hmm.
for me my whole life, and I'm now starting to recognize that I do that. And so rather than leaving my body, I'm making choices to stay and deal with the things that are happening. And I mean, I'm slowly, it's slow. It's happening very
Yeah.
slowly, but it's
Mhm.
happening now. Whereas previously I would just continue running away.
Yeah.
That's so
Whereas now I'm
powerful.
not, yeah, I'm not running anymore, and I'm making
Yeah.
choices with the conscious knowing that I'm disassociating and that I'm
Mhm.
watching myself rather than just being in it.
Mm.
So
That's
yeah,
so powerful, isn't it, to see that? That's
yeah,
exactly what I've had as well. Like, it's so, like, it is phenomenal, really, to actually experience that. And it's really brave
yeah,
of you to when you do notice that, make the choice, conscious
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and asking
So
questions, because
amazing.
what I've also realized is that when you ask questions of the universe or of yourself, your higher self, whatever it is, that the answers come. And previously, I wasn't asking questions, and I wasn't asking the right questions. Whereas when
Mhm.
you observe yourself now, when I observe myself, I see things and I can ask the correct question,
Mm.
Yeah,
and
100%.
yeah, and I see when I receive the answer so that I can grow from that as well and make decisions through that as well. So that's been a huge thing this year for me. Um, and I feel that knowledge and that connection comes through my feminine energy.
Yeah.
I feel it
Mhm.
through
A
my
hundred
Yeah.
feminine.
percent, because the
Oh,
feminine's
a
Mm,
intuition,
million.
the feminine's all knowing, whereas
yeah,
the masculine is logic, it's action, it's plan, and the
yeah,
two together, that is what creates life itself
yeah,
and manifests and everything. It's funny because I feel like talking about asking the question as well, going back a few moments. I feel like the reason in the past that we weren't getting the answers because the questions we were asking are about control aspects, and that's the reason you're not going to get the answer because you need to let go of control. So
yes,
now we're
Oh,
asking
yeah.
questions that aren't, that aren't actually, that we're asking questions that we need to ask, not that we feel that we need to know because of that like
yes,
itching need for control. Does that make sense? Like the conscious
100%.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
noticed
also,
that.
yeah, I think also with my health journey this year, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. And a big thing is learning how to navigate, like, I don't know. I mean, for me, like you were just saying how you last year you were in it so deeply that you couldn't see above it. That was me this year.
Mm.
And I'm only just like now beginning to exit that era. Thank God.
I
Um,
feel like we live
but
hundreds of lives in just 1 year.
Yeah,
yeah, I really I felt like I've been the hermit a little bit this year, like just going to work and coming back home, and I haven't done a lot of I want to be careful with my language because I know I've done a lot of growing, but it's like imagine a seed like I've had a lot of potential growing, but it hasn't manifested yet. Like I haven't received the lessons that I've learned this year, but I know the lessons are there. It's like having all that potential energy to grow myself. I've received the energy that is required to grow, but I haven't grown because I haven't opened myself to receive the lesson
you were
yet.
in the prep stages.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
definitely. It's essential to be watered, It's
Yeah,
essential
yeah,
to rejuvenate and rest. Sometimes you need the time to absorb before you
yeah,
action, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Like sometimes you need to take that all in because if you just went straight into action this year, you might have not had the tools and the knowledge to navigate through it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
time is an essential healer, an essential teacher to whatever you're trying to bring into this creation. And I feel
mm,
like you need to honor that
yeah,
100% because I
yeah,
feel the
yeah.
same as well. I feel
I
like that with
mean,
myself on my journey.
yeah,
yeah,
this year has changed who I am, and I would never, and it's not a negative change by any means. Like I'm not who I was at the start of the year, but that doesn't mean I wish to go back or I wish to not be who I am now. And I'm actually really excited because I haven't gone deep down inside who I am now, um, yet. I haven't had a chance to do that. And so I'm really looking forward to, you know, journaling and like really exploring this new, I guess,
Level.
level of myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I love
yeah, and
that.
I'm and that's what I mean when I say like I know that I have grown, but I haven't received the growth yet. Like
Yeah.
the growth is there, but I
I
just don't
really
know it.
feel that. It's almost
Yeah.
like I don't know if this is how you feel, but this is kind of how I feel. It's like the emotional and energetic growth's happened, but the physical
Mm,
hasn't, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Not
Yeah.
as not as in me physical, but my physical reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've literally, although I have actually done put lots of stuff into action this year, and I really have, again, I feel like I had that I had been receiving the knowledge to be able to do it all if I wanted to, but I feel like it's happened like this for a reason. Um, I feel like if I did smashed out every single last one of my dreams in just this year, then what have I got to work and look forward to? And
Yeah.
what have I got to grow towards and love towards and learn towards? I feel like it's all essential. So I really resonate with that because like we've all got dreams and goals that we want to achieve. And I had so many this year that I might not have completed, but I've completed the steps in between.
Yes.
So I feel like that's really important. And you know, we're so young, we've got all the time, we've all got the time in all of the world, you know what I mean? So I think just honoring that you're just integrating and you're just letting it all come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
I really believe that as well. And I think it's what I've learned this year so far from receiving, because again, I haven't received a lot. I've faced a lot, but receiving
Yeah,
is
I
different.
feel
So
like that actually as well. That's a really
yeah.
good way to put it.
Yeah, I've faced a lot this year, and what I've received so far is just to keep pushing because after everything that I've gone through, I still don't know because I'm still kind of I'm not in the middle of it. I know I'm not in the thickest part of the forest, but I definitely am still kind of facing a lot of stuff at the moment. But I have this and you know like I guess what I've gone through health wise isn't completely over yet is what I'm trying to say, but
Mhm.
I've got this big trip coming up. I'm going to New Zealand for a month, and then I'm going to Bali, and then I'm going to move
Oh my
across
God,
the country.
yay!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm really excited. And I guess when I first wanted to do all this, my first thought was, but how is it going to work? Because I still haven't like I still am going through all this. But then I realized like this has come to me for a reason. It's all working out perfectly. Like I'm going on multi-day hikes for the first time, and I literally thought it was going to be so hard to book, but it was so easy. I did it in literally one night. Everything is like aligning,
Mm.
and that's when I know, oh, okay, I'm meant to do this. Like this is meant to
Uh-huh.
be. And so that's what I like. I'm just following this path because I want to be happy. So if going to New Zealand makes me happy
Yeah.
and
Do
that's
it.
what's coming to my reality, I'm
Do
gonna do it.
it.
And I
Yes. I
know
love that
that
so much.
yeah, I know that things are gonna resolve themselves. I know it's all gonna work
They
out.
always do.
Yeah, it
Yes. If you
always
live with
is.
love, it just works out, you know?
I
Yeah.
think what this is teaching you at the moment is that even in the face of problems or hiccups or whatever you want to call them, you can continually to choose, you can continue to choose happiness in the
Yeah.
face of all of
It's
that.
so true. And I
It doesn't
face that
matter
as
if
well.
it's
Like,
not perfect. It doesn't matter if
yeah.
it's not perfect. You can still make decisions that make
You
you
can
happy.
just choose how you feel in that moment. You really
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
especially when everything's going wrong. Because I experience it when I travel. Literally just got back from Tenerife the other day, and on the way back, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And like for the first time in years, experienced like really bad anger internally, not externally.
That's saying
Because
something for you, Lana.
yeah, and it was really deep. It was like, I hate everyone. Even my best friend, I was like, I could kill him right now. And I would never in a million years have thoughts like that. Not since I was like 15 and I was really angry that I was just such an angry teenager. But this is again about integration. I'm so proud of myself because even though I was like, I hate everyone, I had a little voice above my head like, it's okay, it's all gonna work out. But it was really still there. Like, so I had my higher self like there at the same time, simultaneously. And then as that came through, I almost like just reminded myself, I was like, I've done this before. I know it's gonna work out. I know I'm not gonna be trapped in a foreign country. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
gonna get home and I'll be in my bed tonight. And yeah, like I feel like no matter what it is, even again a year ago, being covered in my eczema, how did I get out of that? How did I get out of being in bed every day? I had to sit there and just be positive about it. And like throughout the few months of that experience of, because I was hospitalized as a teenager, I really struggled with my eczema most of my life. So it was like the biggest trauma really, other than a few other things. It's kind of the one that's been there always. And like the way I got out of it like last winter was I literally, even though I'm covered head to toe in horrible sores and can't move properly, I just had to just be happy and look at my
Yeah.
skin. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Yeah.
And but I battled with it. Like say it went on for maybe like 3-4 months. Say like 1 month in, completely closed down, no love, no light, complete darkness. Second month in, I'm stubborn. I know what I have to do. I'm refusing because I'm like, I don't deserve this. I'm a victim. I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
And then third month in, I'm like, all right, just fucking do it. It's like you know what to
It's like the
do.
seven
You know what
stages
to do.
of grief.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like, you just know what to do now, so just do it. And like, yeah, and then fourth month, I'm like every day, even though I'm like, I kind of made it into something funny because I couldn't straighten my legs properly. So I was like, I'm a dinosaur, I'm a pterodactyl. Like I had to make it into something funny and then love it. And then all of a sudden I blinked, it was over, you know what I mean? A year later, it's nowhere near the same. It's manageable. I know exactly what to do. I know the
Yeah.
lessons, and there's many of them are connected to that. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, it's not always easy, but
No.
yeah, just being able to like really, really come above it and see yourself in it as well,
Yeah.
I think
No.
that's
and
really
all the
important.
support programs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really resonate with everything, but it is 10 o'clock here, which means it's
Oh,
been an hour.
It's been an hour. This is
balls.
like
So that went really fast.
It just
Um,
goes so quick. I was thinking
yeah, it
about that a
really
minute
does.
ago.
Yeah, wow.
Thank
What?
you for coming on, Lana. We love our conversations with you.
Oh, so do I. I'm so grateful. Every time I speak to you both, it just leaves me feeling so in my heart and in my heart
Yeah.
chakra. And just, oh,
Yeah. And also we'll probably be seeing each other in real life soon because either next year or the year after I'm coming to England. It's either
yay!
late, yeah, it's either late next year or early 2025 that I'll be coming. So I'll see
Well,
you
let me
soon. I'll
know as
see you
well
in
when you're
person
going to
then.
Bali because I was going to book a trip to Bali this year. So
Yeah,
maybe see you
cool.
Oh,
there.
that
Love,
would
we
be
would love that.
sick.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be
That would be
amazing.
amazing because I've
Yeah,
got
I'll
friends
send
that are traveling now also. So I want to do like a round robin of Australia and Bali. So
Oh, that would be
Awesome.
sick. Okay. Wow.
yeah. So keep me
Well,
updated, Queen.
yeah, I will. I will. I promise. Well,
And
oh,
thank you so
okay.
much, you beautiful warrior women. Thank you for
Mwah.
teaching me so much and being light bearers. It's just like I'm so honored to be connected to you.
No, thank you. We honestly received so much from you as well, and like I feel so healed after this conversation. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
same, same. I've
We'll
got
yeah.
my
see you
third eye.
soon.
My third eye's mildly burning, but I feel absolutely divine. See you,
Well,
beautiful women, soon.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.